podcast, the Young Old Heads podcast, the Macho Man Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, yeah. I am the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Champion, and I will beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania, yeah.
It's like uncanny how good you are at that.
Huh?
It's like uncanny how good you are at that.
Thank you, man. I love Macho Man. Peace and blessings, kings and queens. I'm Jaquan Davis.
And I am Nicholas Fletcher.
And welcome to another episode of You Ain't Got My Pizza. I ain't order no damn pizza. In all seriousness, this is the Young Old Heads podcast, the podcast where we talk about a little bit of everything and a whole lot of nothing. So, much like the last episode, we are actually going to start off on
A much more somber note.
even more somber note. So, last week we spoke about how DMX was in the hospital on life support. It was reported this morning, about a week later, that he has passed away. And, man. I'm never one to really get affected by celebrity deaths. Like, I mean, I do, like, they will have me sad. Like, when Nipsey Hussle died, that one really shook me. Like, I was sad, and it just felt like, damn, Nip, like, just like, he's not here no more. But hearing about DMX's death actually made me cry, bro. Like, I have, trying not to get choked up right now. Be a man, be a man.
You can't cry. It's totally fine.
I'm not doing that.
Safe place.
I'm not doing that.
I'm a man out here, huh? Macho Man. Macho Man ain't shedding no tears.
But no, it just really hurts, man. And it's so crazy because like I felt like it was coming since the whole thing with his brain activity. They said he had very little brain activity. Well, I had heard from what I read that his brain didn't get initially when he had the heart attack, his brain was lacking oxygen for about 30 minutes, or oxygen deprived, I should say.
That's a long time.
Yeah, so when I heard that, I'm like, it's highly unlikely he's going to recover. And if he had, he would never have been the same anyway.
Carried on.
So, yeah, man, it really hurts, man. DMX is an icon. I've been a fan of that dude since I was 8 years old, bro. I remember the first verse of his I ever remember hearing was a song called 4321. It was LL Cool J, Redman, Method Man, Cannabis.
Oh, bro,
and
I know
DMX.
exactly. And didn't they have that wicked music video to it?
Yeah, they did, and it was almost like a horror.
Yes,
thing,
because I
kinda.
think Method Man was like a mummy or something.
And then So, but and DMX stood out to me. Like, it was just something about him. And I also remember watching that video with my dad and uncle, and they talking about how dope he was and stuff. And it's crazy because I like the dynamic of that song, man. If you're really a hip hop fan and you look at the dynamic of that song, it's like you had multiple generations of the rap game in one song.
And all heavy hitters. And all unique voices, every one of them super unique.
Exactly.
Voice.
So like you definitely knew who was who. And like it's like LL Cool J was the seasoned veteran. Redman and Method Man, they were top of the game at that time. They were like the two, hottest things then. DMX and presumably Cannabis at that time were the future.
Yeah, Cannabis had it pretty. We don't have to go into that.
Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of messed up. LL dissed him on there. Like, damn. Ugh. And he made him change. He made him change his original verse and then dissed him on it. I'm like, LL, you cold as hell, man.
Yeah, it's cold blooded.
No, LL's a legend though. But yeah, man, I just remember that, and just ever since then, and it's crazy how an artist would start buzzing back at that time. Like, you'd see them with a bunch of features, and that's kind of how it was with DMX, like a bunch of features, and then they do their solo thing. And that's kind of how it went with him, man. And he just exploded onto the scene, bro. Exploded. And, we were talking about how, like, his debut year was just astronomical. Like, in debut in terms of mainstream and solo projects.
Exactly, in numbers. We're talking numbers. Like
numbers. 2 platinum albums in the first year of being a world-known rapper, bro. Like, it's amazing, man.
And just consistency, too.
Yeah.
Like, just continuously
Also, I created a playlist, so anybody who's listening who is subscribed to Apple Music, just hop on there and search some X shit. I actually called it after one. I named it after one of my favorite DMX songs. But it's about 95 songs. A lot of them are my favorites. Some of them are a little bit newer that I'm not real familiar with, but I just recently heard them. I'm like, yeah, let me throw that on there too, just so I got more of a variety. But yeah, man, just great storyteller, man, a passionate human being, and people. You got people online talking about this man. He just passed away hours ago. And you got people online who have an issue with him being mourned.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to just say, rest in peace to a legend.
Rest in peace.
I will say for you, my heart goes out to you in the context that I have known since our early friendship throughout childhood how like important he was to you.
Yes.
There is. I'm talking like in our well over like close to 2 decades of friendship. I remember he was always in your top. So
yeah, and
also same with my dude Cyrus. So Cyrus, within moments of him passing away, Cyrus called me, and I knew I saw his number and I knew why he was calling me. So. And that's hard because the same with Cyrus. That was Cyrus's number one dude. I think that was Cyrus might have told me recently. That's the first artist that got him into hip hop was DMX. So,
really?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Cyrus one day. This is way back, man. Cyrus one day started just spitting some knowledge at me about DMX, about even how he got his name, what it means, like the DMX stands for. It was this whole like, and I was like, damn, man, like Cyrus was like an index on that. So, rest in peace to a legend.
Rest in paradise. He's at peace now, man. He was very much a tortured soul, and I do take solace in the fact that he's at peace now. You know.
So, with that being said, exactly what you were just talking about. We've been talking about it for the past couple hours now. So I made a post, giving respect to an icon.
Yes,
like you said,
absolutely.
An icon. This man,
one of the greatest to ever touch a microphone.
Yeah, influence and like just millions upon. I mean,
exactly.
His reach was just outstanding. And all I did was post. I mean, something that simple.
Yeah.
You think you make a post to pay respect and homage to somebody like that?
Yeah.
And this dude jumped on there and was like, "Oh, glorifying and idolizing another crack addict." Blah blah blah. What's the point? And just that type of ignorance. Because one,
it kills me, man.
One, DMX was never ever shy or coy or hidden about his addiction.
No.
In fact, the opposite. In his music, which I addressed to the guy, he talked about it. He explain he never glorified it.
Not at all.
He wasn't out there like in songs like even newer rappers were like popping my Xanax. Like, DX wasn't doing that type of stuff.
Exactly. And he definitely had songs where he talks about like there's the struggle between good and evil within him. Yeah. And like you were saying, is he often labeled his addiction as a demon on his back.
Yeah. And so that just the ridiculous amount of ignorance and disrespect for somebody who not only passed away, but I'm talking moments ago passed away.
Like,
and here's the thing, he kept trying to justify it. This dude kept justifying, like, it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Or it's like, first off, bro, go ahead, have your opinion. Mine is that you're ignorant.
Yes.
And here's why. Because this is coming from a guy who he even tried to say, I like DMX music.
Like why would you? So you like his music, but you got an issue with people mourning him hours after he died,
which is silly because one, I don't think that's sincere. I think this is a guy who probably heard a few of DMX's songs. Like, I like that guy. You know,
probably knew the radio. He probably knows the radio songs. Probably.
Exactly. So I think that's the situation going on there, and what's really frustrating is he's coming in here being like, oh, like, you guys are idolizing a crack addict and blah, blah. These aren't the people we should idolize. And it's like, bro, like, you don't know what he meant to some people.
Exactly.
Like, somebody you idolize might not mean shit to me.
Exactly.
But guess what? If that person ever passes away, I'm not going to come piss on your post.
Oh, yeah. Don't mourn him. He did this, and don't idolize him. And it's just so weird. That dude's trash, man.
Yeah. Like, I just want to ask the dude, like, okay, what is the appropriate way to grieve?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
How like, you tell me.
And it's so wild because it's like, it's not like this has been going on for months and people have been posting stuff for months. He died today. Yeah. Like, it's just so weird to have an issue regardless. Why does it bother you that people are saddened that this man's life is gone. Like, why? What?
Exactly.
Like, why are you comfortable in expressing a disdain for people loving and appreciating this man and his legacy?
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand.
He's acting as if we're idolizing that he was an addict. Like,
Yeah.
Like, no, bro, we're idolizing the fact of, like, let's put it even on just a music level.
Right.
This dude has accomplished record-breaking feats.
Yes.
If you guys, anybody listening right now, I implore you, you want to talk about impact, you want to talk about charisma, you want to talk about captivating a crowd, go look up DMX Woodstock.
Woodstock 99.
It is the most wild live concert, and I say this, not even exaggerating, the most wild live concert that, I mean, I could only imagine being there in person.
Yeah.
But seeing the footage of it, it is a sea of human beings as far as I can see.
Thousands and thousands of
Just
people rapping
packed.
every word of DMX.
Yeah, and he's just on stage in his red overalls and killing it.
Yeah,
and
man.
you want to talk about, and then we post, oh, like, rest in peace to a legend. He's like, he's a crackhead. Like,
Yeah,
bro, like
are you
insensitive
kidding me?
motherfuckers. Like, and it's not just him. That would be the thing. It just so happened to happen on my post by a notorious troll. He's a notorious shit talker.
Yeah, I've seen him in a lot of other comments.
But I will say, I've seen it other places now.
Oh, have you?
I've seen it
Yeah.
I've seen it like big, like TMZ will share a link.
Yeah.
And I'll go to the comments and the top comment, because usually the most ignorant comment is the top comment because people interact with it.
That's a lot of what
But the top comment will be exactly that.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, you're idolizing someone. Like, if he wouldn't have OD'd, he'd still be here. That kind of
man.
where it's
I
like,
know.
man. Like,
It's just like, Jesus, you just disregard all human compassion for some likes on a post. Like, you want your comment to be top, and if you actually feel that way, you're literal human garbage.
Well, and also their view is so surface level, because outside of the box, you're not a fan of DMX. You're seeing the headlines. It's as simple as DMX overdosed. Yeah. And then you read in the article and it's like longtime rapper who's battled with addiction. Yeah. And so they're taking that as like, okay, this is all I know about it. Mm-hmm. But the interview that you and I spoke about earlier, the interview where he talks about how we got addicted to crack. And in the interview, he's talking about, just so anybody who doesn't know, it was a good friend of his, a mentor, the same person who introduced him into hip hop, had laced a blunt with some crack, and just a horrible thing to do. Yeah, did not tell him. And when DMX tells the story, he's holding back so much tears and raw emotion. And that's where the frustrating sign of the lack of empathy and compassion, that it's like, man, like, the dude wasn't just an addict. He was a struggling human being.
Exactly.
The dude sitting there couldn't even get the story out because he kept choking up and crying. And then you're just like, he was a crackhead. That's just...
blows my mind, man. And then, so I seen the thing today. Actually, one of my favorite rappers kind of irritated me a bit. The Game, phenomenal rapper. He's a legend in his own right, but he said he paid homage to DMX, but then he was saying something to the effect of, "Oh, they don't show you no love to you till it's gone." Or and I seen other people saying, I've been seeing other people saying it's fake love and blah blah blah, this, that, and the third. As coming from someone who is a lifelong DMX fan, I've been a fan since I was 8. I'm 31 years old, so, you know, more of my life than not, I have been
literally. That's wild.
So to see all these people like showing love to him, and all these people who appreciated him the way I did, I love that, man. That makes me feel great.
Yes,
like that not the fact that other people were hurting too, but he was loved and he was respected, and people telling stories of how they discovered his music, or their music takes them back to a certain...
Or what song got them out of a tough time. Yeah,
or his music, takes them back to a certain time. So, you know, it's just so weird to me to, like, you want to... And he was very much respected when he was alive, too.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
You know, people absolutely loved and respected DMX. He just wasn't on the music scene like he once was. So, of course, you're not going to see people posting him all the time, but... I never saw people disrespecting him. Like, I don't.
So that's a common response when a celebrity passes away.
Yeah,
and
like
you have this big outpouring of love, and then the other people are like, oh, like, suddenly you're a fan and suddenly you care, which is frustrating, because so for me to pay respect to DMX, does that mean I had to post about him 19 times a day prior to that? Like, man, of course,
if you just,
of course I'm sad. Like, Nipsey was a good example.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I heard Nipsey Hussle's name, never listened to his music prior to his passing.
Yeah.
His passing is what got me into his music.
Yeah.
I was like, what is the, like, because people were sharing it being like a literal, like, future legend, like solidified this guy's, and so I went and looked up his music. Was one bothered that I'd never heard it before because phenomenal.
No, he was dope, man.
Phenomenal. But then when I was sad afterwards, and should I would a hardcore Nipsey fan be like, fuck you, like, you didn't like him until he died? What a dumb perspective.
I was a fan while he was alive, and I wouldn't say a hardcore fan, but I was definitely a fan. And seeing people like learning about him and showing love from him, like, that didn't bother me. What kind of weird ass shit is that? Like, how weird? Well, you weren't a fan, but you didn't love him when he was here, and the fact is that these guys lost. It's very weird. The fact is, these guys lost their lives, and people are being sympathetic and empathetic towards that. Like, why is there anything?
What if we started seeing people
about?
do it on a lower scale? Imagine that. Picture the scenario where somebody's like aunt died and they posted like rest in peace, like Aunt Mary, and somebody was like, "When's the last time you called her?"
Oh,
where it's like,
God.
that kind of
so
stuff.
Trash,
where it's like,
so
quit.
trash.
Like, you didn't even go to Thanksgiving last year and comment on her peach cobbler. Where it's like on a smaller scale, that's what you're doing. Like
ridiculous.
People, like, when you're supposed to mourn, like, when somebody passes or you lose somebody.
Exactly.
Like, don't be mad at people for mourning. Like,
don't mourn him because you didn't post him on your Instagram when he was alive. Yeah, it's so weird, man. Oh my God.
So this perfectly kind of like cascades into the next topic, which is childhood heroes.
Okay, so DMX was definitely one of those for me.
Absolutely.
But I'm gonna stop talking about him before I start crying, y'all. I'm sad. Okay, so he was definitely one of them. So when we say childhood, give me a time frame. Are we talking throughout our teenage years as well?
You know what? Let's go ahead and give it. I would even give it as far as up to, let's go like 18 to 21.
Okay.
Because when I was 18 or 21, to me, I was like, I'm an adult now. But now as a 32-year-old man, I'm like, I was a kid when I was 21. So I was a kid when I was 25.
So trash.
So I would say let's go ahead and we can give it up to like 21. Like, we'll give you the first.
21's a lot, man.
Is that too much?
I think it might be. Yeah, let's say up to 18.
18.
Yeah,
okay, 18. 18's fair.
So for me, one of them is definitely that comes to mind. Lil Wayne. Absolutely loved Lil Wayne. I knew who he was from like probably about age 9, 10, just because of the Cash Money affiliation. Never really thought of him as like a top MC, like somebody who I would listen to. Like, cause I started liking lyrics in my early teens and lyricism. And so I never really went to him for that. But then I started hearing some of the songs. Well, no, I think it wasn't until the first Carter drop, which was 2004. From then on, I was like, yo, this dude is dope. Like, what happened? He just transformed into a beast. Yeah. And I was a huge fan of him for a while. Like, anything he was on, I wanted to hear it. In terms of music, definitely, obviously, DMX. I liked Cameron and Diplomats a lot. Like
you introduced me to
I loved them dudes. Like, I just thought they were fly and the swag rap, and I wanted to be like them.
Some quick context, you guys. So Jay being from Brooklyn and me being a little Wyoming kid, he used to bring me mixtapes he would get in Brooklyn. And like I remember you brought me like some CDs that had Dipset on it. You brought me one that was like a bunch of unheard, or to me at least, unheard Eminem stuff. It was
I remember that. It was called Eminem, Great White Hype or Great MC. I remember that.
Yeah, and I remember it was you brought me those from Brooklyn. So.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Oh gosh, how could I 50, man? I loved 50 as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Like, I thought he was another one. I thought they were so cool, like everything they did. I was big into, of course, Jay-Z too. I would say once, probably in the middle of my teens, I became more of a fan of Jay-Z. I was a huge pro wrestling fan growing up, so there's a lot of those guys I absolutely love.
Did you, by chance, like Macho Man?
Ooh, the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey. Yeah.
I loved Macho Man. Macho Man was my guy. Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. That was my dude. Like, he was my dude. Bret the Hitman Hart, Pink and Black Attack.
Bro,
Loved him.
you're going way in the deep
Yeah.
in the index, bro. These are the classics. Bro.
Him,
These are the Hall of Famers over
I
here.
loved Shawn Michaels was my guy. Sting was badass. I loved these dudes. Goldberg.
Bro, I used to love Rey Mysterio.
Ray Mysterio was cool too. He wasn't one of my favorites though, but I did like all them dudes who wore the masks and stuff.
Yeah, I liked Rey Mysterio based off I remember they had a Nintendo 64 wrestling game. And
That's probably WCW NWO Revenge.
Okay,
maybe?
I'm assuming so.
That
but
was like the biggest one.
Okay, you could play as Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And he was super acrobatic. Like,
Yeah.
would do front flips, and I just to me as a
that
kid,
might
I was
have
like,
been that game. Man, that was a great game. I had it on N64. I wish I could find the N64 today.
just go,
But that was I know. It was more than likely that game you're thinking
Yeah,
of. But
I'm assuming so.
yeah, a ton of pro wrestlers, Undertaker, and then like superheroes and stuff. I always loved Batman my entire life, even though he's like barely a super. He's not
He's
really a
just
superhero. He's
I
like,
think he is, but
like if he can. Okay, so Batman is a badass vigilante who can fight and is rich and has a lot of gadgets.
bro, I have a weird thing for so Batman. I have a weird perspective because I think he's cool and all. But DC Comics kind of made him him and Superman like the front runners,
Yeah.
and even how they like pit them against each other, and
Yeah.
also like Batman ends up fighting all these super powered villains like Apocalypse
Yeah.
and whatever. Then I'm like, that's just a dude. Like it's just a dude.
Like, come on, man. Somebody like Solomon Grundy or Darkseid would destroy him. Like,
Yeah, and I just always
or
thought,
even like Scarecrow. Like,
I had a buddy one time who's a Batman fanatic. And just to piss him off, I would just always talk about how Batman was trash. Like that, I was like, man, with that, basically, put him in a room without his gadgets. What's he gonna do? Like he knows karate, good for him. But then one day we were talking about. I told him that Iron Man would beat Batman in a fight, which I stand by. Iron Man would win in a fight
if he has his suit.
Well, and then here's the thing. Well, because then his response was like, well, like Batman is a tactician and a strategist, so he would like do something like an EMP. And I'm like, bro, you think Iron Man wouldn't think about that?
Right.
You think
he's brilliant
You think
too.
exactly? He's a tactician too. So. Yeah, Batman is
Yeah, Batman. I just always thought he was cool. Like I remember I had my little Batman bed set and Batman overnight bag.
You still
and all
got that?
stuff. Shut up. Anyway, I actually did just get a shirt with the Joker on it though.
You're wearing as he's wearing his Batman undies.
I would. Them PSD underwear, those are very comfortable.
I don't even know what that means.
I'll have to
PSD
show
underwear?
you. It's a brand, but
Okay.
they're like boxer briefs, but they're almost like shorts. They're long.
Oh,
They
I know
don't-
what you're talking
They
about.
don't bunch up on you.
Yeah,
though.
okay. I have those. That's what I wear.
Is it?
Yeah, I buy them from Express. It's Express. It's like a high-end clothing.
Okay, let's not advertise.
Well,
stuff
okay,
now.
okay. Brought to you by Express.
Brought
Express.
to you.
Express. If
After I
you're
specifically
listening,
just-
if Express is listening, whoever that is.
I ain't listening to all. I say that after I specifically said the brand of those underwear.
Yeah.
But whatever. They're
If
really
either of these
comfortable.
companies want to sponsor us,
Yeah, they're really comfortable. Those and like the Ethica underwear, very, very comfortable. But anyway, so heroes. I think I would probably say the Power Rangers, the original Mighty Morphin. I love Tommy the Green Ranger. That was my guy. I liked it when, I don't know if you remember when they first introduced him and he was like evil.
yes, I do remember.
And there's like
actually.
a five.
Yeah, they had to fight.
Part,
him and
5-part episodes with him, and he was just overpowering them and stuff. And I just thought he was cool. I was really into colors, if that makes sense, bro. Like, so just like, I don't know, the green. I don't even know how to put it into words, but something about the green just had me mesmerized.
So you
like
like-
the what?
Green is your childhood hero.
Green was
Just
my
green. Just green.
just green.
Just green.
No, just the
Green
hue.
got me through a lot of hard
that
times.
specific shade of green. I don't know why. I just really liked it.
I'm literally envisioning the color too. That's too bright of a green for my taste.
It is now, I would agree, but at that time, like I was captivated by that, or even like back in the wrestling thing.
I'm very color. I very much so visually burgundy. So like if I see something
So you
burgundy,
like earth tones.
Yeah, so dark, earthy, like a dark burgundy,
Yeah,
or even
see.
like a brass copper color.
Because like even when I was talking about like the wrestlers, I liked like Macho Man always wore bright colors, and so did Bret Hart.
He always had
and
a
then
fucking. Didn't want Macho Man wear like the
The Fringe.
Yeah, The Fringe.
Yeah, he did. And then
I like how I was trying to show you like the
I
people
knew it.
listening because you know the
But yeah, and then Bret Hart wore like the different shades of pink, and Ultimate Warrior, he did the tassels and all the bright colors, and I loved that stuff. I don't know why it just caught my attention.
bro.
as a kid,
Theatrics is like, bro. I'm
That-
mesmerized.
yeah.
I love theatrics. Like,
Yeah.
give me
So-
theatrics.
Absolutely, Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphin Persuasion.
I think that's don't put that into Pornhub because the Mighty Morphin Persuasion
Mighty Morphin Persuasion. What the fuck?
would pop up.
I have
That
probably
sounds
people
very-
freaking off in Power Ranger
Yeah,
costumes.
that's exactly what's going to pop up.
Yeah, okay, so never mind. But how can they do that? Like legally? Like how can y'all use the
I don't
always
think
wondered
that
how they
porno companies really. You think that the Power Ranger companies like cracking down on the porno?
yeah, because how would that look like? You know,
Power Rangers.
some Power Ranger orgy and what's that company Bandai or whatever?
It's like
Or no,
cease
isn't
and
that
desist. Yeah. I'll stop banging each other.
Stop banging in our outfits. But yeah, no, the Mighty Morphin Power. I was all in on Power Rangers up until I remember the original I loved, and then they had the what came after the original? I don't remember what it's called, but they had the ones where they had the shapes on their helmets instead of one had a square, one had a star, one had
Okay, I know exactly. Yeah.
and then I think there was some where they had like cars, like
There's so many iterations at this
yeah,
point.
but after like a couple seasons in, after they changed, like I think I had missed the end of one season, and then the new season came on. I was watching, I was confused, and after that, I was like, all right,
Well, I don't know.
yeah, I'm
Who are these people?
yeah, different, brand new people.
Did you watch the Power Ranger movie that they did recently?
Yeah, the one they did a couple years
was
ago.
good.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it
I
a
liked
lot,
it as
yeah.
well. You know what was crazy, man? In a weird turn of fate. So that was 20 years after the last Power Ranger movie had came out, right? So I was 27 at the time. 20 years prior, I was 7 years old, excited for a Power Rangers movie. And then 20 years later, 2017, my son's 7 years old
Oh, and
and excited
about-
for a Power
Bro,
Rangers movie, man.
I
Like,
could talk
what-
about some on like with Pokemon and my kids.
It's kind of crazy how
Yeah.
that happened because he was very much, and I don't think he cares so much anymore. I can't blame
A
him.
kind of an endearing moment I had, like similar to that, is being like a 25-year Pokemon fan. My daughter now, like my kids see Pokemon and they can name them and all that stuff, and it's just cool to me.
Yeah.
But one time, for anybody who's a nerd and plays Pokemon, you can get what are called shiny Pokemon. They're basically like different. They're very rare color variations of Pokemon. So a
Nice.
shiny Charizard would be black opposed to orange.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was trying to hatch a Pokemon, which is my daughter's favorite, Score Bunny. It's a bunny rabbit. Didn't even really care about this Pokemon until my daughter fell in love with it. So it kind of like attached me to
Yeah.
it. So my daughter loves Score Bunny, has a Score Bunny stuffed animal and all that. So I was trying to hatch a shiny one, which is the rarer color, and she literally, just as fate would have it, was on my shoulders. Swear to God, this can't make this up, bro, because they're different colored.
Yeah.
I'm hatching these eggs to get them. Takes thousands of eggs. So the Score Bunny eggs are hatching, just plain old Score Bunnies, and I'm not paying attention playing my game, and she's over my shoulder, and she looks over, and an egg hatches. I'm not paying attention, and she goes, "Daddy, why is that one a different color?" And I look, and my heart dropped because it was the shiny, which again is really rare. And then she named it even. She named him Lotsy Dotsy. So I
Lotsy
call
Dotsy.
him Lotsy for short. But yeah,
That's
but just like you said, just one of those moments. In that moment, I thought, man, like if I who would have known?
Yeah.
25 years later, I got my daughter on my shoulder, and she's watching me play Pokemon. So yeah.
It's nice when you can bond over stuff like that as with your kids, man. My son's a lot like I was when I was a kid. Like he likes playing the Batman games now.
The Arkham ones. Oh man, you want to talk about great games?
Yeah, they're phenomenal. He's kind of been. Oh, I remember he was huge into Spider-Man when he was like 4 or 5 for a couple years, and he kind of phased out. And I remember something about him. I think he was like 7 at the time. I'm like, oh, you don't. You used to love Spider-Man. What happened? He's like, oh yeah, that was when I was younger, but I'm growing up now. I was like, oh, okay.
You're 7, dude.
You're 7. Like, I was
Dad,
like, well,
I'm-
fair. I mean, you have
Dad,
grown.
I'm no
but-
longer a mere child.
Father, I was wondering, but But then the game came out and he was like kind of back into it. So he likes like those games and stuff. And it's just crazy because I was into Spider-Man and Batman
Oh, bro,
too.
Spider-Man
He
was
a
my
huge
number one as a kid.
same.
Number
Yeah, that's
one.
another one I love too. And he was real big into Ninja Turtles for a while, but I think he's kind of phased out of that one too. But he loved Ninja Turtles when he was like 2, 3. So you know.
Another funny kind of side note about Spider-Man, when Hannah was really little, she so I was a Spider-Man fan, so I had like Spider-Man stuff around the house, just whatever, and she'd seen him on TV. There was a Spider-Man movie that had come out, and so she saw Spider-Man, but she was so little she couldn't pronounce it, and so what she was calling him was Meanie Man.
Meanie
So
Man?
well, here's the thing about it. Cute enough as it is,
Yeah.
calling him Meanie Man. Okay. But she, before we understood Meanie Man was Spider-Man, we'd be just sitting at the dinner table and she'd look in the hallway and go, Meanie Man. So I'm sitting here thinking,
that's a
like,
creepy,
yes.
actually.
So for the longest time, we were like, is there like, who's Meanie Man? Like this creepy entity that is like possessed my house.
Oh.
And turned out it was Spider-Man. The whole time it was
gosh.
Spider-Man. And when she'd point, it would just she'd see something Spider-Man related, and just like, and we weren't connecting or correlating it. So Meanie Man.
Yeah, man. A lot of superheroes. I mean, I think I've never been a real big sports guy, but I always had a lot of respect. I always admired like Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson,
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant. Because although I wasn't never a big basketball fan, I would see them play and do amazing things. So I appreciated that. Who else? Let me think. I think that's probably, for the most part, I pretty much got everybody. A lot of pro wrestlers, some athletes, a lot of musicians, and then a lot of fictional characters.
Yeah.
Watch, when we're done, I'm gonna be like, oh, I could have said this, this, and this.
Bro, that's
and
us.
This, and this.
That is
and
us.
this, and this.
Just so everybody knows, if Jay and I didn't like at some level control the dialogue and conversation, we would ramble on one topic for hours.
Absolutely.
We could talk about this specific topic for the rest of the evening.
Topic.
Top-
The topic.
The
Also, I just realized we're terrible at planning this because we didn't discuss. Maybe we'll skip the random fact this week, or did you have something?
I
in
got
mind?
one.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I mean,
right.
I'd like to say my heroes.
This is the Jay Show. I'm
Welcome
controlling
to the Young
this.
Jay Oldhead podcast.
Also, before you get into that, I do want to say last night Nicholas brought up to me that I seem to be the one who always steers the conversation in a NSFW area. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to talk about how I like big booty bitches and... I'm sorry.
Delete.
Bleep that out. But yeah, who are your...
Okay, so for me, pretty similar. So we'll start at like the youngest level. So on a very young level, all fictional in the sense of...
Oh, Martin Lawrence. I loved Martin Lawrence growing up.
Oh, yeah, Martin was a great show, bro.
Huge. I
Yeah,
love that
so-
show,
so-
and I was a fan of him and Will Smith. Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a bunch of. But go ahead.
I can just fuck my opinion. You
Yeah,
just,
absolutely.
You go, I'm gonna go upstairs.
Bro,
I'll be back in an hour.
Established this is the Jay Quan show. I'm sad today. Let me express myself.
Yeah, that's another side note, guys. Me and Jay are typically quite mean to each other in our dialogue. Obviously, like just being funny. But today Jay said I'm not allowed to be mean to him. So.
He's not allowed to be mean to me because I'm sad.
But apparently Jay has got full.
I can say
full
whatever
reign
I
to be
want.
really mean to me.
I can say whatever I want today because I'm saddened by the passing of Earl Simmons, and so I can express that in any way I choose. Sandy.
So talking about fictional characters, do you know a fictional character that's also named Earl Simmons?
No.
You don't know this?
No.
Spawn.
Really?
Yeah, Earl Simmons.
I never knew.
Yeah,
Are you
that's
serious?
Spawn's name,
I
yeah.
never knew that.
Yeah, Spawn is Earl
I'm
Simmons.
not big into Spawn
Yeah.
either. I always kind of was creeped out by him, but
Spawn is Earl Simmons. But okay, back to my childhood heroes. At a really young level age, the fictional ones, big one we brought up, Spider-Man.
yeah.
So a pretty centric theme for me, like with my heroes and people I idolize, are the underdogs.
Yeah.
I am a huge sucker for the underdog story and the little guy who
Spider-Man did overcome some pretty
man,
intense
yeah,
villains.
yeah,
man.
absolutely.
Like, what's that one that was like a mutation of him, but it was like a spider and it had the
Yes,
suit
yeah.
on? I forget what it's called.
No, I know exactly. Yeah, I know that whole
Venom, Carnage.
Yeah,
Carnage is insane, bro.
Well, and on top of that, the fact that I loved Spider-Man so much he went from like the nerdy little dorky nobody, and then got this
Peter Parker,
this insane amount of power and responsibility, and then the odds, like you said, that he overcame. I mean, he's fighting, he's protecting like New York, man. I love Spider-Man. A specific thing that happened recently in the newer renditions of the movie with Tom Holland as the actor.
I haven't watched any of those.
Oh,
ones.
bro,
The Homecoming,
we have to watch them together.
I haven't watched
we'll watch them together. Spoiler alert. Anybody watching or listening, spoiler alert. But there's a specific scene where a little bit of context is in this storyline. Iron Man is already linked up with him. He gives Peter Parker a pretty advanced suit. Peter ends up wiling out and not like listening to. He kind of like tries to handle some things on his own and ends up causing some chaos. So Tony takes away the suit and Peter's like, dude, I'm nothing without that suit. And he goes, then you don't deserve it. And you're like, ooh, like that hits you. Well, then he ends up.
Yeah, tell me the whole story.
Well,
of the
anyway,
movie,
but
Nick.
the part that happens, he ends up knowing that something's happening, so he has to stop it. And he has no support from like the Avengers or Tony Stark. And they're all kind of upset at him. So he's back to wearing his little ghetto suit he made himself, a hoodie with the cutout eyes and whatever. Yeah. And he's doing that. And he goes and he gets this moment where it's kind of like he's in over his head. And the Vulture ends up like toppling a building on top of him basically, and it's him under it, and he's stuck, and you see for a moment the kid again. He starts like almost crying out like, help me, and he's freaking out. And this is Spider-Man, and he's freaking out, and as he's freaking out, like it's just like, yo, this is a child. Like you have that moment of like, yo, this is a kid.
I feel like watching the movie won't hit the same now. But
okay, well, I'm just telling you. But then he looks, and there's like a pool of water, and he sees his reflection of his face, and his mask is ripped, and half of it's Spider-Man and half of it's Peter Parker. And it just is the most powerful scene. And then he just puts his arms up and then lifts the pillars off of him in this like super powerful scene. Bro, I teared up in the movie theater.
That sounds like fire, but I feel like it won't be the same.
I'm sorry that I told you, but man, it hit me.
You really I get it.
Tear up.
You know what made me tear up is also, spoiler alert, I don't know who hasn't seen Endgame, but Iron Man, bro.
Oh my
gosh, man.
Oh.
I think about it, it makes me.
Yeah, me too.
I'm emotional
me
today
too.
anyway.
And especially 10 years in the making.
That's crazy.
And you have Iron Man, Tony Stark, who started it all.
Yeah.
And what's cool is if you start, guys, major Marvel spoiler alert here, is throughout the movies, like there's a part, if you remember.
I actually have a Venom shirt on underneath this.
Oh, cool.
You probably can't see it.
But what was a really cool thing that they kind of referenced back to is in the first Avengers movie, Captain America and Tony are arguing.
Yeah.
And
Captain America's
I think the MCU made him amazing. I thought he was the weakest Avenger and like lame. That I'm like a guy with a shield. And
never thought he was weak, but he's just
What was so cool to me is in the first Avengers movie, Cap and Tony are arguing, and he tells Tony that he's not the guy who would ever make like the sacrifice yourself move, and then he tells Cap, "You're nothing, but you're not special. Like the only thing special about you came out of a bottle because you got like the injection, whatever." Yep. So they talk shit to each other like that, and then flash forward, literally like 7 years later in Endgame. Cap is worthy to wield Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, which is you can only wield it if you're truly worthy.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
then Iron Man literally sacrifices himself for planet Earth.
You know what?
And you're just like, well, yo, like talk about full circle. Like,
I think it was. Was it Endgame? I can't remember if it was Endgame or Infinity Wars, but there was a part where it came down to Black Widow or Hawkeye like sacrificing themselves.
Yes.
And it's just like, it doesn't really matter if either one of you.
It is actually. I never thought about that perspective, but they picked the two powerless of it.
Yeah,
they sent the two regular ass people to the spirit realm.
Why don't you both go? Like,
that's terrible.
It is.
That's
They're
terrible.
like,
I like both those characters.
I don't dislike them, but in the
I
grand
will say,
scheme of things, they're both
you got
meh.
the Incredible Hulk, you got a god, you got a billionaire genius in a suit of iron.
Yeah,
Man.
it's just like
A guy with a
those
bow and
two.
arrow. I do
I
like that.
can shoot them really well.
I do like that the Marvel Universe, by the way, we're totally derailed at this point, guys.
Yeah.
I do like that the Marvel Universe acknowledges the silliness, because in Age of Ultron, Hawkeye says that a joke. He makes a reference to that to
Age of
Scarlet
Ultron
Witch.
was dope,
Yeah, well, Scarlet Witch is like freaking out, being like, I can't fight, and he's like, look, he goes, we're fighting robots, we're on a floating city, I have a bow and arrow, like none of this shit makes sense, and he like pokes fun at it. He's like, yo, like I'm fighting robots with a bow and arrow, like, so.
All right, so let's wrap up this segment.
Okay, yeah.
If there's any
So
other childhood heroes?
I like how you got like 80 of them. I got Spider-Man.
I'm sad today.
So Spider-Man. Outside of that, just so many comic book characters, and also, like you said, the Power Rangers, things like that. But for the most part,
Power Rangers, X-Men, Fantastic Four.
For the most part, another big one for me was the Incredible Hulk. And a weird thing about it was the live action TV show where Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, you
was
watched
painted
the
up.
old
Yes,
school?
as a kid, I loved it. I loved it as a kid. And so that was a big one. And again, it was because this dweeby little weak scientist like turns into. If you guys don't get the theme, I was a pretty self-conscious kid who was trying to.
So the nerdy guy is overcoming the odds.
Yes, basically.
Did you ever watch the Batman or Superman cartoons from the 90s?
Yes, I did.
Where they were like almost kind of like they were cartoons, but they almost had like an adult feel to them. Like they weren't inappropriate or nothing.
But just
they were
a little more
dark
darker.
and,
Yeah.
like death would happen and stuff like that. Those shows were really
Yeah, I
well
remember
done.
those. But so then outside of that, so fictional characters, I could list those forever.
Yeah.
Then movie wise, this is a weird one, but Jackie Chan, bro.
No, that's not weird at all.
Love Jack to this day.
I
Love
liked
Jackie
him.
Chan.
I loved Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
I loved I was into the martial arts stuff a lot too as a kid. Those two,
so that was huge for me. Yeah, Jet Li was a big one, and shout out to Jet Li and DMX for Cradle of the Grave.
Great movie. They were also in Romeo Must Die together.
Yeah, they had another movie together, which Romeo Must Die was another dope one. But Jackie Chan, one of my favorite movies ever. This is just ever, period, is Rumble in the Bronx. Have you ever seen that?
I never saw that.
Oh, bro, it's.
I've heard it was like a classic, but I've never saw it.
It's really, there's really cheesy parts and stuff like that. But to this day, the fight scenes hold up. Yeah. To this day, I'm talking. I don't even know how old that movie is, but to this day, you could watch the fight scenes and be like, that was dope. Like that was, Jackie was that dude.
Yeah, he was great in the Rush Hour franchise.
Yeah, Jackie was that dude. So Jackie Chan, and then movies. Just again, I could list that forever. But centric theme, one of my
childhood heroes. Once we start doing the visual part of the podcast, Meteor Man.
I remember him.
Meteor
Eddie Murphy, right? What? No, was Eddie Murphy?
It was Robert Townsend.
Okay, I thought it was Eddie Murphy for some reason.
No, y'all whites all think the black man with a mustache is Eddie Murphy. No,
yeah, well, bro. I'm just thought, but I remember he could read books and get the
he could touch them.
Yeah, he could touch a book and get.
I got a shirt with him.
That's how you learn karate.
Yeah,
he learned karate from reading a book. Yeah. I can't believe you've seen that movie too,
bro. I can't believe I've seen it, bro. Man. That movie was my childhood,
bro. Me too.
I've watched that movie.
How have we been friends this long and just realized that we both love Meteor Man?
No less than 100 times, Nick.
There is no other human being on this earth who's told me they've seen Meteor Man.
Bruh, I love Meteor Man. Robert Townsend was a staple in my childhood too, because he also did one of my favorite movies called The 5 Heartbeats. And then he did this show called The Parenthood that I was a big fan of, and I loved Robert Townsend growing up. But yeah, Meteor Man, I got a shirt with him on it, like this, doing the super.
Yes, that was the box art. Yeah, that was the box art.
Yep. So
yeah,
Meteor
crazy.
Man, bro. I would have never have expected you to even know about that.
Yes, bro. I loved Meteor Man. I rented the movie from Warehouse Video.
I had it.
It was an old little local, rinky-dink local movie player. I don't know if you
talk about letting the tape rock till the tape pop. That happened with that movie, bro.
I'm like, we've bonded even further.
That's crazy.
We have to find Meteor Man and watch it together.
I think last I had looked, I searched for it on Prime a while back, and they didn't have it at the time, but they may now.
So I could again list movies forever, but then we're gonna break into the really impactful side of my life, and that is musicians. One big shout out to Clifford Smith, Method Man.
Tikal.
Yeah, the Tikalian Stallion, Johnny Blaze. that is the person who first got me interested in hip hop. And this is before I wanted to rap. He's the guy who got me interested as a listener. I heard, again, I think I've talked about it on the cast, but I heard the song To Rock Wilder and hooked immediately. The whole entire Black Hat album was my first introduction. So Red and Meth, shout out to Red and Meth, but it was that song in particular. So shout out to Method Man. And then obviously, cliche, but Eminem. That dude. I always feel like I always felt as a white rapper, feel like I have to justify it. But bro, the dude is a legend. He is outstanding. And you want to talk about an artist who got you through some stuff? That
I feel like you don't have to justify anything.
Yeah,
it's weird because like he's so respected in hip hop, and lately like this younger generation is like on this. They've got this bandwagon that he's overrated. And it's like no, there's a reason he's one of the greatest. Yeah,
literally.
Of all time.
Like listen to Renegade with Jay-Z. Like,
absolutely. And even Jay-Z said about that record, like, yeah, because people were saying Eminem outshined him, which I don't know, man. I think Jay-Z held his own, but Eminem did definitely like that.
Yeah, Eminem flamed that.
But Jay-Z's like, well, yeah, why would I want somebody to give me a bad feature? Like, why wouldn't I
exactly.
Want still sharp and still, you know? Like, why would I want him to give me a mediocre verse? Yeah. Like, you know, what sense would that make?
Yeah, but M is huge. You want to talk about like a day like that, like if like the God forbid, but like the day that man passes is gonna be hard on me.
That'll be a rough one too. That'll probably hurt equally as much as the way I feel about X-Men.
I will say that like Method Man and like Redman and like starting that got me into music, but Eminem was the person who admittedly made me interested in rapping, and then throughout my personal growth, he just kept setting a bar to me that I was like if you're not flipping words this particular way, then you ain't dope. If you're not doing, and he just set this really high bar.
It goes to show you too, man. I'm sure, like you know, it probably a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's white.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
You know,
and I won't be ignorant to that.
Yeah,
fact.
Representation, and I'm not saying he's still very skilled. I'm not taking anything away from him. Representation matters, and it's like you see somebody like you doing something that you admire, and they're kind of the minority in that field.
Yeah,
you feel like you.
And
can do
at the
it
time
too,
that I was a fan of him, he was the white
rapper.
You had him or Vanilla Ice.
And then MC Search, but he never really
you say
blew up.
You had a few, but look at it from a white kid in Wyoming
perspective.
Oh yeah, how would I have ever heard of MC Search? How would have I ever heard of like the Weathermen and like?
I'm sorry, damn.
No, bad. I'm telling this for the audience.
Y'all didn't have music in Wyoming.
Yeah, we didn't.
It's so weird to think about back then. Like you really had to come across something or put in some kind of work to hear music. Yeah. Whereas now you can just be like, The Outsiders. I'm gonna look them up. Yeah, let me get on Apple Music and see what
search
them.
So he's a big one. And then he was like my gateway drug into hip hop because I admittedly was like, man, like I can't.
So you weren't familiar with like Pac and Dre?
So I was. So my introduction to hip hop, to really quick just wrap it up, is Redman and Method Man. I knew what hip hop was. Obviously, had heard it in.
So you had to know like some of the big radio
so I did.
Records. Yeah.
So I did, but never listened ambiently. It was the equivalent of you could have put a Tupac record on and a Metallica record, and they would have hit me the same way. I'd just like whatever, it's music.
That's crazy.
Method Man hit me. The Rock Wilder was the first song that really just captivated me and impacted me, and then from there, obviously M, and then with getting interested in like hip hop through M, it kind of dawned on me that I'm like, okay, I know who Tupac is, I know who Biggie is, I know who Big Pun is, but I've never really listened to their catalog. So then it was my gateway to where I just started branching off.
Let me hear more of people writing.
And then I will say that I realized that, like, not to like shame M in this way, but then I realized that I'm like, okay, yeah, M is dope, but he's not like the bar.
Yeah.
Like you could go listen to Capital Punishment by Big Pun, his Capital Punishment album, and that dude is lyrically, like his syllables, his delivery, just classic, just killing the whole way through.
Otherworldly, bro.
So
otherworldly MC.
So musicians, M was a big one. Very similar. I was a big 50 fan back in the day. A weird one that I really liked, influence-wise as a kid. But because we're calling them heroes. Like when it comes to heroes, maybe there were some that I didn't necessarily like put in a hero perspective, but I was just a big fan.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, I think maybe there's a few of those out probably.
yeah, but yeah. So I mean, my list again. I think if I keep trying to just drum them up, I'll just have little random ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry because it was my fault. This is a long ass segment.
This is a long segment. So if we think of any more in the future, we'll move on. But today I get the random fact. So random fact.
Random.
So my random fact is, now I'm just reciting this off of memory from a long time ago. Funny story about it. So I was discussing with Jay and some friends
Booty butt cheeks.
this random fact, and I thought it was false. So I had heard this random fact and then heard it was a false random fact. So then we Googled it and found out it was a true random fact. You know what I'm talking about?
I do remember.
Okay, so the middle finger. Why is it so offensive? When somebody flips you off, it's funny to think about because again, as humans, symbolism is very important to us. Yeah. So like, why middle finger is just like excuse me.
Well, I never.
Yeah. So why? Where in culture was that? Like, what did that start? So again, I don't have this pulled up on my phone as usual. So I'm gonna give you the Reader's Digest version off of memory.
Unprepared for the podcast.
I'm not unprepared. It's a fact. A random fact I've known for years.
You've been getting an attitude with me all day. You need to stop it. I'm sad.
Sorry. You get today, bro.
Continue.
Today. Tomorrow it's coming tenfold. So anyway,
I'm not talking to you tomorrow.
So in the past, there were these archers, okay, and they would pluck their arrow with their middle finger. They would draw their arrow with their middle finger to shoot, okay, to draw their bow. And a lot of them were using this skill to like fight against like tyranny and bad people and whatnot and stuff. So
defend their honor.
So Robin Hood type stuff. So when these guys would get caught and they knew that they were the archers that would use their middle finger, they would cut off their middle finger as punishment. Oh. Because now you can't pluck your arrow anymore. You can't draw your arrow back. You don't have your middle finger anymore. So whenever they would see, like, let's say, like, royal guards or whatever, like, and as bad as I may be butchering the historic details of it, but whenever they'd see...
Well, that kind of makes it not a random fact.
Whenever they would see...
No, this white man didn't just shush me.
Come on.
Racism on my own podcast.
So, whenever
white man.
Whenever they would see the opposition, they would show them their middle finger. It's like, hey, I still got mine. Like So they would.
I missed this part.
Yeah, they would flip them off. They would show them their middle finger. So it was like a big form of disrespect, being like, yeah, I still got it, bitch. What's up? Yeah. And yeah,
you didn't get mine, motherfucker.
Yeah. So it became, that's where like the original kind of like the offensive version of, being like, hey, I use this to fire arrows into the hearts of my enemies.
You ain't gonna stop me from killing people. Look at this finger. It's crazy, man, how that certain things from history just stuck. Right. And like you don't really question them until you
exactly.
Do some research.
You
like,
just accept.
Well, that's universally disrespectful. I don't know where it started, but that means you're being disrespectful to me. Like it's just kind of wild, man.
And what's funny is there's other, say Japan, other cultures where we may do something that's normal to us but disrespectful to them.
Yeah,
I've watched some like videos, like the compilation videos where it'll be regional differences. Like this game is different in Japan because it had to be censored for this reason. And it'll be something like where like in Japan to do this, it's considered like a friendly gesture, but in like Europe, it's like saying like go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
like so it's just like the culturally like how different again symbolism and humanity as well.
If in Europe, if you show somebody your butthole, it might be endearing.
But and it actually is. I'll tell you that right now it is. So if you ever go to Europe, 100%, and it's actually disrespectful to not show your
booty hole. Yeah.
So if anybody's going to Europe anytime soon,
gosh, I'm nasty, bro. Maybe you're right.
Maybe I was right. Absolutely, I was right.
I shouldn't be this way.
Maybe I was right. Yeah. So that's my random fact. I should have reread over it one more time.
You probably should.
Well, here's the thing: is because I feel like I actually do know the historical accuracy of it, but I didn't want to tell it so hardcore and then be wrong.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I'd loosely tell it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it started in Europe and there's anyway.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but
so that was the random
shit.
fact.
A
So
random fact-ish?
So yeah, kind of a random fact. Let's see.
Based in truth? Maybe
All
true?
right. So I think we only got time to cover one more topic.
Okay, so let's cover the one more topic.
So one more topic we're going to cover is strange relationship situations. That's a mouthful, but
strange.
the way we came up with this topic is because Jay and I kept throwing out because when we have a topic, we want to dissect it.
Yes.
And we kept throwing out relationship-related things
Yes.
that we're like, man, we'll talk about that for like a minute. Like that's not that,
That's a hot 45 seconds.
Yeah, so strange relationship situations which can arise multiple times in the future, but we're just going to kind of riff off of it.
Yeah.
So
one I think is like age gaps, right? So I feel like age gaps are okay, for me personally. I'm 31 years of age. I feel like right now I probably couldn't date a woman any younger than like 23, 24.
Yeah.
Because I feel like any younger than that, it's like, what could we realistically relate on? And the age gap, it's weird because it's like one of them things like, okay, so somebody who's 20 dating somebody who's 35, that's weird to me. But like somebody who's 35 dating somebody who's 50, like I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Well, I feel like once you hit your 30s, it's going to sound really weird, but that's really where you start to just kind of seasoned and a little bit more like because I feel like your 20s are very crucial to your developments, and once you hit your 30s and as you go on, I mean, I'm only 32, but I'll say at 32. I look back and I'm like, oh man, I had no idea.
What the hell was I on?
Yes,
so I feel like you're not fully developed at that time. Like take for instance, singer actor Marcus Houston, who I feel like is. We'll discuss it at another time maybe, but I just kind of feel like he's the scum of the earth. But he just recently married a girl who's 19 and he's 39.
Yeah, that's why. That's a 20-year age difference.
And he's known her since she was like very young. So it's like, were you grooming her? Like, what is?
And that does seem a little weird.
Yeah, like you assume if as soon as she's legal, just about you marry her.
I will say that 10 years. That's when it started. Like the 10, for some reason, that's the number that popped in my head when you brought up weird age gaps.
Yeah.
So like how you said you being 31 and dating like a 22, 23-year-old, whatever, because that's almost a 10-year age gap.
Right.
And only because, like you said, you have to be such different people. 21-year-old me and 32-year-old me, totally different human beings. And
I think I would actually
different motives, goals.
I would be more open to dating a woman who was 41 than 21, probably.
Yeah,
because it's like I don't know. The thing is, I feel like in a relationship, you should be able to learn from each other. And I'm not saying I couldn't learn from somebody just for solely on the fact that they're 21, but I just feel like it would be more of an even exchange with somebody older than me than younger.
But at the same time, I will say there's people out there who pull it off, and kudos to them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not condemning it.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think that if it can be pulled off well, and it's just a great fit, like you can't really be hypercritical of that situation. But exactly like you said, once you start getting that wild, because I feel like there is an extreme, and the extreme does come from like the maybe this will kind of segue into another strange relationship situation. You end up having the super wealthy like 55-year-old who's really well off, and he's dating the 19-year-old. Yeah. And then that's
another thing, man. It's weird to think like when this girl was born, I was a grown ass man, like. You were in diapers and I was driving around town.
You were driving to pick up a pack of Black and Miles.
Yeah, like it's so weird. Like I think about stuff like that. Like, even like if I was to date a girl 10 years old, it's like 10 years old, I was, really starting to enjoy music, and I was, going to school and I'm starting to become on my way to my teenage years. So just to think like you were in diapers. I don't know. It's just. I am very much a chronic overthinker, though. So,
Same. That's why you and I have such like. I think that's why we have such a good dialogue is because we've analyzed the situation.
Overthinking. Overthinking.
But so that segues into another strange relationship situation is people who stay with somebody for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
I.e. the 55-year-old and the 19-year-old, is that girl with that dude because she loves him or because he has a Ferrari?
Yeah, he has a Ferrari and made her life a lot
easier. And she doesn't have to work and she's wearing Gucci.
And like put up with all types of behavior
and legitimately you just be like, I don't love that person. I have no real sexual desire for this person.
He has a lot of money.
Exactly.
Give me that bag. You can't get this coochie if I don't get Gucci. Bruh, like in my time on Tinder, this was years ago, but I remember actually seeing a girl who had that in her bio, and I was just like, oh, you're disgusting.
Just upfront about it. Like, hey, like,
I'm a prostitute. So if you're not spending money on me, don't think I'm gonna like your personality.
Don't talk to me.
Don't
hit my DMs.
I remember one time I saw one girl was like, I thought this was funny, but it's like, oh my, are you serious? She was like, don't swipe right if you can't beat up my baby daddy.
Can I get a picture of him? Like,
no, I was like, what? Like, that's your standard?
Yeah, like, men? That's it. That's
you gotta be able to beat him up because he's crazy.
There will be some conflict.
There's gonna be a fight. So
if you get involved in my life,
I think that's awful, man, to stay with somebody for material standpoint. Yes. I feel like I respect staying together for the kids more than that.
Yeah, and even that's another hard situation to justify.
Yeah, like
because then we talked about this before. You end up having that volatile situation where the husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend have kids, don't get along, fighting at each other's necks. Yeah. These kids aren't seeing a healthy adult relationship. They're basing their behaviors off this trauma that they're witnessing.
And then that's awful, man.
I just noticed saying all those words right now. What I love about us that we can be like, oh, farts and buttholes and whatever, and then just get into some deep topics and just
balance, Nicholas. It's all about balance. Yeah. We're immature and mature. We're like
the smartest dumb people in the
Smart
world.
Dumbs. We're the dumbest.
Welcome to the Smart Dumb Podcast.
Welcome to the Genius Dumbs. It's like somebody has a podcast. I think Charlamagne has a podcast called The Brilliant Idiots.
Really?
And I'm like, damn, that would have been fitting for us too.
That is pretty
Brilliant
cool.
Idiots.
Yeah, so that's another weird one. I think, I mean, that kind of was the next place I was going to go is like the staying with somebody, so not materialistic wise, but
for the family, because I never had family.
Or just because the fact that it's like, oh, it'd be just too hard to separate.
I can't be single. I don't know what I do out there.
Or even
so you want to be miserable?
Well, I know people who have been married for like decades. You know, like I won't like give any specifics, but you just throughout life you meet those people who are like married for X amount of time, and you can tell these spouses hate one another, hate each other. Like no love left in the relationship, no warmth, no tenderness. Just you just feel it. Yeah. And also these same people, I know that when they talk about their significant other, all it is how awful they are and how much they hate. Yes.
Oh, you're in here breathing again?
My perspective is like, leave.
Yeah,
like, why not?
same.
And then it starts popping up. They're like, oh, well, we have a house together and this and that. Where it's like,
I don't know what I do on my own.
No,
I don't have money.
Exactly. Where it's like, oh, so be opposed to just be miserable. Just be miserable in this situation.
That's horrible on your psyche.
Yeah, exactly. You know, let me squander my whole life in this miserable relationship because XYZ.
Take a chance.
It's a very strange relationship dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about someone who stays in a really toxic relationship? Everything is bad, but the sexual chemistry is on point.
And they have a joint Facebook account because somebody cheated.
Yeah, that is a fucking weird one. That's such a weird one. I'm glad you brought it up because, if you have a joint Facebook account, I see those and I think the same thing.
Yeah. I said this on Facebook years ago just because I started seeing so many of them. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who this is for, but if a motherfucker want to cheat on you, having a joint Facebook account is not gonna stop them. Like, you know, what is it? I would mess around, but I got this account with my girl, you know. Like, it's just weird. And
Imagine like, hey, add me. It's under Nick and Felice.
and it's weird because it's always like I seen a meme that was like, okay, so who's the one that cheated? Like, what?
I'm gonna make a joint account. I'm like, hey, look. So I run the Facebook account from 10 o'clock till 3.
Yeah.
Felicia has the night shift. Like. That is a strange
so crazy to me. Like, I see stuff like that, and I'm like, yo, that's not really. What does that really matter? Like, I've actually had married women before trying to mess around with me, bro. So I don't know.
Is this about the time Felicia messaged you about that thing?
Yeah.
It's actually.
I figured I wanted the people to know, our listeners.
We got over that.
But yeah, no, the sexual thing too. That.
Yeah, but yeah, so like just a really bad relationship.
I feel like that's like a bonus though in a relationship. Like, I feel like that's a really low, like a really terrible reason to stick around in a toxic relationship because, you know.
Have
like
you never been in that situation where like you're with somebody who just chemistry-wise you don't just know none of the same interests, you don't link on like an intellectual level, but in the bedroom you are just physically so attracted to them.
Yeah,
and just
I've never had a relationship like that, but I have had like
hookups.
Friends with benefits type situation. Like, we regularly hooked up, and there was like you know, we've got along and, you know, had similar senses of humor, but I knew it could never be nothing real. Yeah. But I feel like an actual relationship, like we see each other every day, talk all the time, I could never do that just based on sex. Yeah, like, you know, it's.
There has to be, there has to
be that, because like I feel like in a relationship there needs to be that
like
love.
I want to like
there needs to be that, you know, you got to be able to relate on different things. You got to be able to laugh with each other, but the sex is a bonus, is what I'm saying.
I need to want to chill with you after sex, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
like, I don't if I want you to leave immediately when it's over,
if you nut and then it's like disdain for her, like, well, you kind of ugly. Like, what are you still doing? You
just
know,
disappointed in yourself.
Like, if you can't lay there, and, like I'm that dude afterwards, man. I like to lay up with the girl. I'm not like, get off me. I'm like, hey, let's lay here together and catch our breath and wipe each other down. You know,
get the sponges.
But yeah, no, I do feel like sex is like, it should be a bonus. So any relationship like based just solely on sex is gonna crumble.
Yeah, exactly. Again, a strange, because I say strange relationship situation because I've seen it before. That's awful. I've literally seen people who have been like, man, she's like so annoying and she's such a this and this, but man, like the sex is wild.
Yeah, I can't relate at all, bro.
Like, sure, I have to duck a frying pan here and again.
Sure, she might give me a people's elbow off the dresser.
So what? She stabbed me in the spleen.
That was twice, and so it's crazy. I think that's a bad one, though. A relationship should have way more layers, and then good sex is kind of like the bonus, if you ask me. So,
but do you think bad sex and a great chemistry relationship could be a deal breaker? I'm talking you get along great, but the sex is just like...
because I feel like in that situation, I don't feel like it would be a deal breaker at all, because I feel like in that situation, if everything else is good, we can learn to have sexual
That was going to
chemistry.
be my perspective, because if you don't have it yet, find out what sparks you.
Yeah, like you can't really learn that other stuff, like, you know, all the other fundamentals of a relationship. But I feel like that sexual stuff, she can tell you, hey, I like it like this. I want you to wear this.
Fart in my mouth, like whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, pee on my chest, whatever. And it's always me, ain't it, Nick?
Yeah. Well, fart in my mouth is way more safe for work than yours. I won't even repeat it.
All I just said was look at my butthole. But
one time. Said it one time. Start bleeping things out in the podcast.
But yeah, no, I think that's a different scenario altogether, man. Like, we can learn to... learn what each other like sexually, but like if our personalities clash, it's kind of it's hard to fix.
We share the same
I don't even
sentiment
know if it's possible.
There. Yeah, we share the same sentiment there. Literally, your example was going to be mine. I was like, if you don't have sexual chemistry, create it.
Yeah, that's much more doable.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, you know, I feel like that's a pretty good wrap up for that topic.
I agree, because I gotta pee now.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the outro. So. Quickly, I just do want to conclude with rest in peace to DMX, a legend. Peace. I think it should go to say that when something like this happens, it obviously does spark awareness on mental health and drug addiction. I do like to close on this topic often, But if you're struggling out there, and again, I hate to sound cliche because this is what you're going to hear from so many people. Like, if you're having a hard time, reach out. But from somebody who's been in some dark places, places you don't want to go without a safety net type places, I will say that the way out is just do the next right thing. So reach out to that person. Tell somebody you're struggling. Just do something that's the next. Go the right direction. Just even if it's one step. So if you're an addict, if you're depressed, you have to do something. Get up, move, make a change. So shout out. We're with you.
We love you.
We love all y'all. You have been tuned into another episode of the Young Old Heads podcast. I am Nicholas Fletcher.
I am onomatopoeia.
This is what is an onomatopoeia? I can't even say.
Isn't it like I think it's the word that sounds like the sound or something. I can't remember. We'll look it up. But yeah.
Anyway, so this is a hip hop centric podcast where we talk a lot about everything and a little about nothing. So.
Yeah, sure. That's whatever. Yeah.
That was it, right?
That's yours.
That was it.
That's your version.
Oh, I did get it right.
That's your version. Yeah.
A little about everything. A lot about nothing. No, I said it right this time.
Butt scratcher.